What's up? What it do? How you doing? I am back with another video. Today, EandE family, I'm showing you how to make donuts.
This is General Chang.
So before we get started with this video, smash that like button, hit your bell notification so that you don't miss a single video, and subscribe to the channel. So, like any good cake or any good recipe, like as if you were going to make a cake, this is going to start with 1 stick of room temperature softened butter. You can melt the butter if you like, but I just find if you just do it at a room temperature softened level, it turns out a little better. And then to our 1 stick of room temperature softened butter, we're going to add 1 cup of granulated sugar. So we're going to get our paddle down in our mixer, and you can also do this by hand. You don't have to use your stand mixer. You can use a whisk, you can use a spoon. I just find it's easier to do in my stand mixer. So we're going to let this mix until it is a light and fluffy consistency. So for about 3 to 5 minutes. So our butter and sugar has been beating for about 3 to 5 minutes, and it should be a light and fluffy consistency like that. So next we're going to add 2 room temperature eggs. And as always, EandE family, if you don't feel comfortable cracking your eggs over the bowl, crack them in a separate bowl so that you can look for any shells or imperfections. So that's 2 room temperature eggs. So next we're going to add a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So we're going to get this down in the mixer and let these ingredients combine with our butter and sugar until it looks like a pancake batter consistency. So for about 3 minutes. So in my bowl, I have 4 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1 teaspoon. So I'm looking off to see my ingredients so I don't forget anything. I have 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have 1 teaspoon of baking soda. I have a ½ teaspoon of salt and a ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. We're going to add this to our wet ingredients. And then I also have 1 cup of room temperature buttermilk that we're going to add in gradually as this combines. So I'm not going to add this all in at once. I'm just going to add a little at a time to see how much flour I will need. So I'm going to alternate flour and buttermilk. So let's go. So now we're going to flour our surface because we're going to turn this dough out and work it a little. So you'll definitely want to de-bling for this. Okay, so I got flour on my board here, plenty of it. We're going to turn this dough out onto our board. Okay, so the consistency of your dough is supposed to be sticky, right? So I'm getting some flour on my hands. And then I'm just going to work it a little. Fold it over. Like this. You see how it's really soft. Now, you can use a rolling pin for this, or you can use your hands. I'm just going to smoosh it out. And you want your dough to be about a ½ inch thick. Unless you like really tall donuts, and I don't. ½ inch is good on rolling this out too. Okay, so I have my dough out to about a ½ inch thickness. And now we're going to let this rest for about 10 minutes. It's a very sticky dough, and we don't want it falling apart on us when we start cutting out our donut shape. So we're going to let this rest for 10 minutes. So our dough has been resting for about 10, maybe 20 minutes. And I'm just dipping my cutter into some flour. And we're going to start doing like this. And if your first one sticks, that's okay. We're going to dip this back in flour. And then take this one to make the hole in the center because I don't have a donut cutter. Okay, so if the first one looks a little crazy, so be it. Ooh, oh, shoot. Oh, no. Okay, let's try another one because that one came apart. We're good with the donut hole. So let's get that over there like that. Okay, now we're moving and grooving, folks. Okay, so I'm just going to keep cutting these out until I have them all cut out. Once I got all my dough cut out on this one, I'm just going to form my dough back together, pat it back out to a ½ inch thickness, and then we'll head over to our fryer. So my oil is nice and hot, and I'm just going to take one of these donuts like this. And get it added to our grease. When they come out of the grease, you'll want to put them on a rack to cool so that any of leftover grease can drip to the bottom of the rack and not actually in our donut. So I'm just going to keep adding these carefully because it's tricky picking these up to our grease. So our donuts are cooling in the back, and now we're going to make a regular glaze and a chocolate glaze to go on top of our donuts. So I'm going to start with the regular first, and I'm just adding some powdered sugar to my bowl. Maybe a couple cups, depending on how many donuts you have. And if this isn't enough, then we'll add some more. And you can either use water or milk for the liquid to add to your powdered sugar. I'm using a little heavy whipping cream. And then we're just going to whisk this around. And that's about the consistency that I want my white glaze. So now let's do the chocolate. So I'm going to, once again, start with powdered sugar. And I'm going to add a little cocoa powder to it. And my heavy whipping cream. So you'll definitely want to let your donuts cool before you start dipping them into any type of glaze, frosting, or what have you. So I'm going to start by taking one of my donuts. We're just going to sit it in there like that. Twirl it around so we make sure we get a good coverage. And there we have our first one. And I'm going to sit it back on the rack so that any excess can drip down onto our board. So we're just going to keep going. So this is our finished product of our donuts. I ended up with less donuts than I started out with. Some of them fell apart, and some of the donut holes did not come out the way I thought they would. So this is what I ended up with. This is the first time I've ever made these. So let me know if you have that type of issue as well. So we're going to get a taste of one of them. This is one of the donuts. And I'm just going to break it apart. You see how they fell apart? Very good though. Has a nice crunch on the outside. And the inside is cakey like it's supposed to be. They're actually good. I would suggest though, when you make them, that before you cut them out, put them in the refrigerator for about an hour, the dough, so that it can firm up. So that way, when you cut them out, it won't be as hard for you to cut them out. And they might fry a little better if you do that. But yeah, not too bad. They're really falling apart. And I've never had a cake donut that just falls apart like that. So, you try them. Let me know what you think. These were the little centerpieces I cut out. And this is bigger than any donut hole I've ever seen. But that's what the inside looks like. Very cakey. You see that? Now, they're not going to stay crispy on the outside like this for long. The inside is actually perfection. You're not going to stay like that. Crispy. They soften up a little, so they might taste a little better or so. But try them out. Let me know what you think. Y'all know the rest. I don't even know how I should say it, but it's part of my line. I promise you will not be disappointed. And that's it for today, EandE fam. Like, share, comment on this video. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification so that you can be notified when a new video is uploaded. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. The links are in the description box below. And as always, EandE family, don't forget to live a little and love a lot. Y'all be somebody try these out and comment in the comments below if you like this recipe. Alright. You know I usually don't steer you wrong, so